So, you are maybe a 30-year-old man or a 40-year-old man, and you have an income, a means of income. You work, or you have a business, or there's something you do that gives you money. But you know that this thing will not sustain me 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. How do I survive? Even if you have savings, one day you dip your hand in the savings will get exhausted. How do you survive? By the way, if you're joining me for the first time, I say a very big welcome to you. This is the Sunday morning show. And if you're on YouTube, please do like, subscribe, comments, and all those that you can do so everyone else finds this video and can learn also a thing or two. So there is no amount of money you make that will not finish. Let your salary be 100k, it go finish. Let your salary be 1 million naira, it go finish. No matter the money. So when you see that you're in that situation where you know that what you have is not enough, then you need to start taking steps to ensure that you maximize the little you have. So as you grow older, your money increases, and then your money works for you, and then you can get return on investment. Before I even get into the financial part, let me talk about some other important parts of this. Especially when it comes to building new behaviors or building new habits. Because when we talk compounding interest, people would say, oh, it's just about money. It's not about money alone. It's not about money alone. You realize that maybe as a young man, you want to build your muscles, you want to go to the gym, and then the first day you go there, you can only carry 1 kg, for instance. And then you carry 1 kg. Then maybe next time you graduate to say, okay, let me do 1.1 kg. Which is not so far from 1 kg, right? But you are consistent at it. And then you keep on carrying that 1.1. The time will come when you say, okay, I can do 1.1 now. Let me move to 1.2. But you don't stop. And then you keep on doing it. Before you realize it, you would see that you can now carry 2 kg and 3 kg and 5 kg and 10 kg and so on and so forth. What happens is that the energy you are taking in, the capacity you are building is compounding. It's not growing at an arithmetic level. It's growing at a geometric level. Let me break it down. You carry 1 today, then you carry 1.1, then you carry 1.2, and probably carry 1.4, and then 2, and then 5, and so on and so forth. You are increasing your capacity gradually. You will not carry 1 for life, because the time will come when you already have 1 locked down. You already have 2 locked down, and then you keep on increasing. It's a compound interest principle. It's a compounding effect. The same way you learn bad habits by compounding effect, which is you probably smoke, right? Weed. And today you took a stick, and then tomorrow you take 2 sticks, and then the next one you take 5 sticks. You probably will never be able to jump to 5 sticks as a newbie, but you'll be able to graduate from one level to the other. It's a compounding effect. It's a compounding effect. Or should we go to your spiritual life? I was reading somewhere, and then someone said that, oh, she went to a particular church, and the pastor or the prophet came and then gave a word of prophecy, and all her problem was solved. And without this proving that is not possible, without saying, oh, it is very possible, God can just pick on you and solve your problem instantly. He is able. But I would want to challenge to say that person, you'll be more eligible for that level of breakthrough, freedom, blessing, whatever prophecy it is, if you also have been praying consistently. Let me show you what the Bible says about this. In the book of Acts of the Apostles, chapter number 7 and verse 34. Let me read it out. It says, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people, that's God talking, in Egypt. I've heard their groans and I've come down to rescue them. See, he says, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people. I've heard their groans, meaning they have been praying. They've been seeking God. They've been pained. They've been going through issues, and they've been seeking solution. Let's go on. He said, now go, for I'm sending you back to Egypt. God was talking to Moses. So God sent back the same man his people had rejected when they demanded, who made ruler. So the point I'm making is, the response to their problem was God sending Moses. Someone would see that, oh, God saw their problem and he sent Moses. No, they also had been praying for God to solve their problem. So you being eligible for a level of blessing or breakthrough or whatever it is you're asking God for, and then God sending a prophet to prophesy over your life or receiving a sudden miracle, also can be a function of you having stayed long in the time of prayer, breaking down the walls. Nothing in this life happens haphazardly. Nothing just happens. If you hit a rock long enough at the same spot, it will break. It's also the principle of compounding. It will break. They had prayed. What the Bible recorded was that they groaned. Do you know what it means to groan? It's to make a deep, inarticulate sound, conveying pain, despair, or to make a low creaking. So you've been doing that consistently. So sometimes the reason you are praying and you're not seeing the result of your prayer is that you've not stayed long enough in the place of prayer. The prayer you would pray to maybe, let me use finances now. Say you want 10 million naira. The prayer that you pray to give you 10 million naira, I mean, this is not the exact example or analogy, but then just imagine what I'm saying. The prayer you pray to get 10 million naira may not be the same prayer you pray to get 10 naira. Because someone around you can just afford to give you 10 naira, but someone around you may not be able to afford to give you 10 million naira. So you need to do extra work. So if you are expecting a greater level of breakthrough, you would need to do extra work to achieve or to attract that level of breakthrough. And that is you hitting the spot over and over and over and over again until it becomes weak, and then you can get what it is you're asking for. So ask yourself, have I stayed long enough in the place of prayer? Have I stayed long enough in the place of worship? Have I stayed long enough in the place of asking for me to get this thing? Or do I just think it's my birthright, and when I say, God, I need this, and then God gives you and you're good? Which is not impossible. But you will not have activated that principle of compounding if you don't do it repeatedly. If you do not do it repeatedly. If somebody with me this morning, you need to be patient in the place of your work. You need to be patient with your business. You need to be patient with your marriage. You need to be patient. Patient. So you're a married man, you're complaining that your wife is not respecting you, is not doing enough, and I'm asking you this morning, that have you done enough to warrant that level of, for instance, submission that you require of that woman? Have you done enough as a man to warrant that level of reverence, to warrant that level of help that you're asking of that woman? Because you think that marrying her and putting her in your house is automatic gate pass to she being your slave for life. Nope. There's something called an emotional bank, similar to what you have, your bank account, where every time you deposit money in it, and the day you need money, you can go there and you get money withdrawn. But imagine you don't deposit money in that bank, and you go to the counter, meet the cashier and say you want to withdraw X naira from your account, and then she asks for your account number, and she checks it, and she looks at your face, she checks it, and you'll be thinking maybe she's trying to be sure you are the one that owns the account. But she's looking at you and wondering if you know that you have no money in that account, because you cannot withdraw where you've not deposited. But guess what? There is a point where you deposit to in the life of your partner that it becomes easy, extremely easy for the partner to do whatever it is you want your partner to do. I was sharing with a lady during the week, and then she was complaining about, okay, maybe I shouldn't give the full story, but I'll just share the principle behind it. So the husband did something wrong, Very wrong. But she was willing to forgive the husband and keep moving as though nothing happened. But in the case of the lady I was discussing with now, she said she could not do it. Lie, I no go do am. I have to leave that man. And I looked at the both of them. One has been married for 20 years. One is just dating, and she's been dating for about 6 months. The husband of 20 years has obviously done so much over the course of time, 20 years, for him to warrant the ease with which the wife can forgive and forget what he did wrong, because he's deposited enough in her emotional bank compared to the one who they've just been together for 6 months. You don't have enough in your well to draw strength from to forgive the man. So as a man, you see that sometimes when your wife is angry at you and she's finding it difficult to forgive you of the little things you've done, it's most likely because you've not done enough storing in her bank account or her emotional account. Because it's not about money this morning. Are you listening to me? So you need to see everything you do through the eyes of, if I do this thing consistently, over time, it gets easier. It gets easier. And the interesting part of it is, if you do not do it, if you do not obey the principle of the compounding effect, you will think, oh, okay, yeah, should be not obeying it, is fine. But it is going to work against you. Because the day is going to come when you would need to draw strength, draw resources, withdraw to the level of your expectation. And you won't be able to, because you had not invested anything. You've not built or deposited anything. This principle of compounding effect is arguably the most powerful force in the world. I dare say that. Because it turns your little resource. Remember I said that earlier before I started the conversation, that this may just be the difference between someone who retires as a wealthy man, as a great man, as a fulfilled man. Differentiates that person from the person who retires and is still struggling. Because every day, a drop of water is deposited. Every day, a drop of water is deposited. The day you need to make a withdrawal. Somebody will make this morning. But I need to touch on the financial part of it, because that is really, really critical. It is better. It is wiser. In fact, it is more feasible that you be wealthier 15, 20, 30 years from now than you are now. So if you have to commit a portion of your resources right now to planning your future, if you want to see how this works, if you're a worker and you earn salary and you have a pensions account, sign into your pensions account this morning and then see how much you saved in your pensions and see how much that has been added to it for you. You would understand the principle of compounding this morning. Is somebody who made this morning? I would even choose to call this compounding effect the eighth wonder of the world. And I said earlier that it's going to be practical, because I wrote some things that I would like to share with us. Because people may think, okay, so what are you saying exactly? And I'm just going to break down some of the things I've written so that you can see that the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life can be way better than you are right now, even financially, if you engage the power of compounding. So you're a 30-year-old man, you're a 40-year-old man, or you're a 50-year-old man this morning. So as a 50-year-old, say you have 70 years to live. So you have 20 years. As a 40-year-old man, say you have 30 years to go. As a 30-year-old man, you have 40 years to go. And you work, you earn money. Okay, for those watching me, see, this is in paper. I have some things written down. I'm going to read it out. So let's call the first person man 1. and then you save aside 10,000 naira on a monthly basis. 10,000 naira. To some people, that is a lot of money. But to some other people, it's such a little money. They can spend it on, taking a bottle of beer or two, and the money is finished. In fact, that 10K a month is equal to about 333 naira a day, or maybe 350 a day, which you spend on different things on a daily basis. So in a month, you can put together 10,000 naira easily, right? And for man 2, say you save 20,000 naira on a monthly basis. And man 3, you save 30,000 naira. And I'll stop there. Just 3 people. 1, 2, 3. You save 10,000, the second one saves 20,000, and the third one saves 30,000. Of course, for the one who saves 20,000 on a daily basis, that means you must have put aside maybe something around 670 naira. Let's just say 700 naira. And for the person who saves 30K a day, a month, would have to put aside about 1,000 naira, of course, on a daily basis to be able to save 30K a month. If you do that consistently for 20 years, remember on this show some weeks ago, I talked about the principle of the long-term perspective, that whenever you are doing anything, think about the effect of that thing 20 years from now, not just right now. Because whether you like it or not, 20 years will come. So if you're a 20-something-year-old young boy or man today and you're listening to me and you think that you have grown, you have not grown, no. Because 20 years from now, you'll just be 40-something. 20 years from that time, you'll just be 60-something. So there is a lot of time. So if you do this for 20 years, you'd have ended up saving 2.4 million naira. Just 10,000 naira every month, or equivalent of 350 naira. 350 naira every day. And at the end of 20 years, yes, it looks like a long time, you'd have saved 2.4 million naira. But that is not where I'm going to this morning. Remember, we're talking about the compounding principle. If you put this money aside in a form of investment that can give you just 10%, barest minimum, 10% return on investment on a yearly basis, the interest you'll be getting on that 2.4 million naira at the end of 20 years would be 4.5 million naira. And altogether, you'd have saved up, you'd have gotten 6.9 million naira in 20 years without you doing anything. So you're a 21-year-old boy today are listening to me, and you have the capacity to save 10,000 naira on a monthly basis. At the end of 20 years, you would have had 6.9 million naira. Well, let's say you have the capacity to save 20,000 naira on a monthly basis. You would have saved up 4.8 million, but the interest on that will be 9 million naira. And at the end of 20 years, you have 13 million naira just by saving 20K a day. A month. Just 20K, which is equal to 700 naira a day, which you have. Or let's say you have the capacity to save 13,000 naira on a monthly basis, which is equal to 1K per day. And it is easy. A lot of women who sell things by the road do this ajo thing, and then they can afford this easily. 1K a day, they will put it aside. At the end of 20 years, guess how much you would have saved? 7.2 million naira. But that's not all it would be. You'd have gotten an interest of about 13.5 million naira, and in total, you have about 20 million or even more. Just in 20 years. So you see now that the reason you don't get wealthier progressively over the course of your life is because you are not sowing your seeds and letting the principle of compounding interest work for you. You're probably eating with the whole of your hand. I remember I'm sharing this morning because of the questions I got during the week. People who thought, the one I have is not even enough, and eventually I'll have to eat it. But I've come to tell you this morning that it may not be enough today, but wait for a little more time. 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And you see how much. So just by saving 30K every month, which is like 1K a day, you would be having 20M at the end of 20 years. If you allow the principle of compounding just at 10% per annum. And there are so many platforms that you can put your money and then the money will keep on rolling over. Or say you have a bit of more time, and you can even do 30 years. So someone is saying, I'm just an 18-year-old boy. I have time. I can even do 30 years. I want to retire at maybe age 50. So you're 20 and by age 50 you want to retire, and you are able to save 10,000 naira on a monthly basis. By age 50, when you are going to retire, you have 19 million naira just from 10k a day. Or you can do 20,000 naira on a monthly basis for 30 years. You're going to have 38 million naira. Or if you can do 30,000 naira on a monthly basis, by the end of 30 years, you have the capacity to have 57 million naira. That is a lot of money. I've taken my time to do this calculation for you to see that there is actually a lot of money that you have right now that you can translate into your future. But most of the time, your wisdom pipe is blocked. So you think because that money is small enough, he's not able to do anything, then you just spend it. Somebody will say, oh, why am I keeping all this money? What if I die tomorrow? What if you don't die? What if you don't die? Or if you really want to die, you don't want to be alive by that time. Scripture says a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. For his children's children. Last week I was explaining to you that some people that you're comparing yourself with, they have a trust fund, they have a wealthy parent, or they have something that's a backup, that's like a springboard, which is why the work you are doing and the work they are doing, they are getting more results than you're getting. It's because someone has done some work for them. But nobody did the work, and you're having to do the work by yourself. So, will you be that person that will also do the work ahead for your children or for your children's children, so that they don't experience the pain you've gone through, so that your name that they will carry, it will be a name they'll be proud of, and they won't want to change it. There are many ladies who would get married and say, I don't want to change my name from my father's name to my husband's name. And the reason is simply because their husband's name is not as valuable, in quotes, as their father's name. So imagine your name, your father's name, you're a lady and your father's name is Otedola. Just imagine for a second. Even if the popular Otedola is not your father, but you be Otedola, you know how much value that's going to bring to you. It's because that person has worked for his children's children. Are you getting me, somebody? So I've come here this morning to challenge you to tap into this principle of the compounding effect. Letting your little resources build returns for you. That is all I've come to tell you this morning. So for everyone who has spoken to me during the week, this is the answer to your question. And that savings, if you put it aside consistently and you leave it, and you let it grow, and you put it in a place where your investment grows. Don't try to get all these high yielding investment programs. Like you want to make all the money today. That is the recipe for you losing your money. If somebody is promising you 50%, I mean, we all know about many Ponzi schemes, MMM and co that happened. A lot of people got rich from them, yet a lot of people lost their entire savings. We know. If we are, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. To find something that increases gradually over time. We play the long-term game, so that at the end of your life you can sit back, relax, stretch your leg, or travel around the world because you have the funds and you don't have to work at the time. The work you've done is now doing the work for you. The money you saved is now the one saving your life consistently. But one way to ensure that this happens is that you start early. The best time to plant an Iroko tree was years ago. But if you missed the planting season years ago, the next best time to plant it is right now. Right now. So let this compounding interest work for you, so that it doesn't work against you. Be properly positioned. Do it consistently. Don't see, the sad part of this is when you miss it, you make it more difficult to achieve this. Don't miss it. Do all you can to keep on putting it away. Put it in a place your money cannot your hand cannot touch. So even if you are the brokest of the brokest right now, the confidence that I have money somewhere that is growing will not make you worry. You won't sink into depression, because you know what? You have hope. You have hope for the future. You know. It's just someone who has a fixed deposit. You have money in fixed deposit somewhere, and then today you will not worry your mind too much, because you know when your time comes. So if you have to sacrifice a little right now for the sake of your future, sacrifice. Just shift a bit. Take a little portion of your income and be putting it aside. Even if you don't have 10, even if it's 5K, be putting it aside. Be putting it aside. Find some form of investment opportunity to put it in that will just be compounding. If you can even do it in better currencies, in the dollar, it's fine. Turn your money to dollar and be putting it there. These things look all hard and everything, but it's not hard. It is simple. It is just that we are so used to our way of thinking lack. Many people think lack. And that is why they don't take steps that will launch them into financial prosperity. And this doesn't just apply to money. It applies to your own life, your behavior, your relationships, including your relationship with God. Compound interest. I hope God would open your eyes to the opportunities that are around you, so that you'll be able to take advantage of this principle. God will help you in Jesus' name.